let's talk about important, no particular topic, but let's generally talk about important. I have a few updates. Well, as you might and will see in your screen, the super chat feature is available again. So back on the monetization, thanks. Thankfully, we got it sorted, and well, the support team been very helpful. So yeah, so it's very good news this morning. And now working on some other stuff as well. I've been working on making next steps regarding the YouTube, regarding the channel, to help it grow, to make it work, all the kind of stuff. And since the monetization is back, I'm also gonna focus on the long form videos as well, as much as the short form videos, at least a couple times a week. And yeah, live streams, like in this format, like I usually do the training live streams and showing you everything live. I'll keep doing with that as well. Okay, yeah, just letting you know, guys, I'm not gonna tolerate any nonsense. Me and my husband. My husband is moderating the chat usually. Sometimes he's not there, but very commonly, very frequently he's here. So yeah, and people who watch me, who already know me for a while, they know what we're doing here. But anyways, I'm gonna wait for a little bit more people to come in. That might be a little bit wrong time zone for some of the constant viewers who are usually from US, from Europe. Some of them are from this part of the world, like Vietnam, India, and Asia generally. Hello, hi. And also new people are also welcome. So feel free to engage in the Q&A. We usually when I have a let's talk about important live streams, it's just talking about having irrational, good conversations about pretty much anything. But also, as I said, I have an update. I have a super chat feature, and please feel free to. I usually never insist on subscribing and liking or like super chat donations, because I think people are gonna do that out of their heart if they want to. But since my YouTube was temporarily suspended, and well, it's obviously kind of like we lost the time on that, unfortunately. So feel free to do the super chat donations and stuff. That will be very helpful. And yeah, again, no pressure, but it is back. And some people have been asking, like, oh, where is the super chat? Like someone wanted to do the donation and it wasn't there. Well, now it's here. So yeah, feel free to support my channel, grow it. And if you're a new person, I'm happy to tell you what's the channel about, what I'm about, what I'm even doing here. And for people who already know me, well, hi, love you guys and appreciate your support and being here for all this time. I'm Georgian. I'm originally from Georgia. Right now, me and my husband, who is Norwegian, so Norway, Georgia, we are in Vietnam, Nha Trang. I'm Indian here, good for you. We've been in India. India is a very interesting country, very spiritual, in a good way. My name is Diana, but a lot of people call me Red, like Red Hat, Red. Appreciate it, guys. You look more muscular now. I think I'm getting shredded. I'm cutting down, meaning that my muscle definition is gonna get more pronounced. Давай. Я тоже. Спасибо. Я похудела. Да, уже. Да? Все, постепенно.
Я увидел, как солнце. Кристина, привет.
Я обязательно передам. Не, ничего. It's my friend here. Okay. Greetings from Prague. Have a nice day and happy streaming. Absolutely love it. Thanks. Thank you. And yeah, Prague. Prague is one of the places actually that's like one of my dream places to go. So one day, hopefully to be, hope to visit the Prague. My husband in the chat, Aiden Chris. That's my husband. You can also see him as the blue colored name with the tool on the side, meaning that he's a moderator. And he says, "No OnlyFans, sorry, not sorry." Yeah, I mean, definitely. Don't have to. I don't have anything to add up to this one. We don't do OnlyFans. We don't do anything like that. Okay. Hello. Where you original from? I'm from Georgia. I usually say same country as Mirab Dvalishvili and Ilya Topuria, since a lot of UFC fans are watching me. This is how it ended up. So all of a sudden that clicks out. Oh yeah, that Georgia, not the state. I'm doing well. Thank you very much. I'm doing quite great. Did you get bullied for being a rat hat? I only get bullied by my husband, but I wouldn't even have it in any other way. Otherwise, at school and stuff, I think I was very I didn't care about bullying. Someone would try to tease me, tell me that, oh, everyone's smoking, you're not smoking, you're weird. And it's like, yeah, I'm going to my training, have a good day. And it's like, so I don't really remember me being bullied. Oh yeah, the fight night is coming up. Is it tomorrow? By the way, Ilya Topuria's brother also going to be, I think, on the prelims. Alexander Topuria is going to fight as well. And I believe Topuria brother is going to give it a little hard time to others. So yeah, definitely going to watch prelims, at least his fight as well. And then we have main card, and we have it's the main fight of the whole card is the Dan Hooker versus Arman Tsarukyan, and I think Arman wins. Yes. No, I'm Georgian. Do you compete? I'm looking forward to. I used to do amateur competition, so I've done some competitions, but not as much as an open ring tournaments, because back then there were not that many girls, and in Caucasus region we would go Armenia, Turkey, within the cities, and we would have an open tournaments. So I have experience in actual fights, sparring, actual fights, getting hits, hitting back, punching back, that kind of stuff. But it's been quite some time ago. Then I was always training, and I was doing, every now and then I was even doing a sparring partner. I was helping some of my friends, acquaintances, as a sparring partner. Then I had a little gap that I focused on sprinting, and this is how I started my channel. And then, essentially, I moved back to boxing. I decided, you know what, I'm going to live stream it. I'm going to show my journey, and why wouldn't I go open the pro record? So I'm kind of on my way there. What's your supplement stack? Oh, that's good you mentioned. We need to order some of the supplements that we are out of already. But the main is we always have creatine, we always have the multivitamin, omega-3, magnesium. Magnesium we have also on the top a separate supplement as well. There's some other supplements that helps for recovery. They're not banned substances. They're genuine supplements. We have this cordyceps mushroom supplement that helps cardiovascular improvement, but also just good for health as well. But that's basically pretty much it. We also try our best to do it through the food. We we're in Southeast Asia. There's a lot of good food here. Got a lot of good products, rich in different nutrition, macro and micronutrients. So that is like it primarily. We try to take it from the food, and then supplements to kind of supplement on the top. Ilya versus Arman, it's happened. No, it didn't happen, but it's gonna happen. I believe that before there is any White House and possibly catchweight between Ilya and Islam, Ilya is gonna have a fight potentially with Patty soon for the UFC in the which one 24 or 23 in January, and then I mean Arman's gonna win most likely against the Dan Hooker, and he's gonna be number one contender. So Ilya gonna have a fight with Islam before the card, and then I don't know what happens. I think he might just take the time off and just focus on the full preparation for that White House card. Maybe there's going to be some other title defense as well. I'm not sure about that one. Wait a minute, I thought it was as a party channel. LOL. Well, I'm also, that's my hobby right now, and well, I'm a little bit of side hustle as well. I'm hosting karaoke's in Vietnam, in Red Buffalo Sports Bar, and it's super fun. And a little bit of diversity, you know, like why wouldn't I just, live stream it? People love it. It's almost like Alexander Volkanovski, having like a Cooking with Volk channel, and he is like one of the legends in UFC and current featherweight champion. And funny enough, some people, there's so much following on his cooking channel that some people are like finding out that he's a UFC champion later. They're like, oh, he's like, oh, I know him from his channel where he's cooking all that delicious food. So yeah, it's kind of like funny stuff. Someone was like, oh, is it that karaoke girl? Is she boxing? Or it's like, oh, it's boxing, or is she singing too? Like, it's quite fun. I'm from Georgia, as I said. Who would win in their prime, GSP or Islam? I actually see 1-1. Both Islam and GSP. Also, GSP is good. Like, I think GSP doesn't. He has losses, even via stoppage. But I think he had an rematch with everyone, and he won pretty much all the rematches. So Islam winning a first fight, and then GSP coming back, it would win a second one or something like that, I'm just happy Tapura won't fight Gage. I don't want to see Gage sleep. Yeah, I mean, it's for entertainment purposes. I think they also made the right decision. There is a real clash between Patty and Ilya, and people are interested, is Patty actually that good? And there is a lot of hype around that. So yeah, Gage is also like the Poirier and Holloway generation, like those guys. That is, I mean, super tough fighters, not taking any shit, any BS. They are like, and I kind of like it, but it's also for long term, like having that gladiator mentality. Like, for example, I'm super happy that Dustin Poirier retired, and he can have his time with family and follow, like, check on his health, because at the end of the day, that is the most important stuff. So yeah, with new generation of the more calculated fighters, but also super well-rounded fighters, I think Gage gotta start thinking also about what he wants to do next. I'm not saying he has to retire, that's his decision, but like I want to see more and more athletes healthy and happy long term. Rotang versus Joshua, who wins? I told you about Rotang, the Muay Thai guy, and Joshua, like Anthony Joshua. That might be the other Joshua you're talking about, but it's a little bit. true people love him from the cooking content. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. And like he's being multi-talented. That's great. Why not? Someone asking any Russians here. By the way, guys, again, I'm gonna just take this moment and my channel was temporarily suspended, so like around for 30 days. The monetization was off, so now it's available. The super chat donation is available, so feel free if you want to help the channel to grow. I would appreciate it. Obviously, no pressure, but yeah, just reminding you, so the donations are available. Hello, I appreciate you being here. Yes, now I see. Shavkat Rakhmanov, he will be a test for the Islam. Well, he's definitely, welterweight nowadays is very interesting. So you have Islam as the reigning champion now. But also you have some monsters now in this. Like you have Shavkat, who is he's still recovering through after the injury. So that is kind of important for him, to go through the full recovery. But yeah, 100% of a knockout rate, like that's quite crazy. And not all of them is in UFC, but I think around 9 fights he did in UFC, all the knockouts. That's impressive. Then you have Michael Morales, who is like a Pereira of the welterweight. Like his background is like he stands people as like his weird stance or something. Well, in reality, he has judo. His mother, he's an international judo judge and like a black belt. So he has a judo background and then he has a wrestling background, and he's a monster in striking, super heavy punches. So I think Morales is going to be a very tough test for Islam as well. You also have Carlos Prates, so I think they're going to do Morales and Prates first, kind of thing. Shavkat, I don't know. There is no word from him yet. He might be still recovering through the injury. So, but there is a potential. There is very interesting potential scenarios happening in the future. You're so smart, man. Appreciate it. I mean, I think I'm just like curious, and curiosity makes you ask questions and learn and investigate. And if you train your brain, you kind of get smarter, right? So yeah, there's nothing. Okay, you know what? I just need to learn how to take compliments sometimes, because I'm being a little bit, getting a little bit shy sometimes. Okay, my second last question is, why are you so beautiful? Happy relationship, happy, stable, thriving relationship with my husband. Being able to balance my feminine and masculine, because I'm doing, I love martial arts, I love boxing, I love throwing punches, be in that setting, like the fight and flight response, like I love it. But also in the daily life, I embrace growing my hair. I'm got in my good health, optimal weight, so I cut a lot of unnecessary extra weight I used to have before. Couple adjustments, but nothing like, I used to have braces, now I'm taking off my smile, like I smile everywhere, because the braces did its job. And I would say eyebrows, and there's nothing to hide. Like I barely have eyebrows, like you see. That's it. This is where my eyebrows end. So I did like a microblading here in Vietnam, and they did the amazing job when it comes to that. And that's it. All of a sudden, it improved my, I don't even need to wear makeup around my eyes anymore. It's the right eyebrow shape always gives you a good enhanced look. Everything else, no, I don't do anything. Never done Botox, never done any surgeries, and I'm not planning to. Diko, Rogor, Gama Joba. Got it. Fellow Georgian here asking me in Georgian, and I respond in Georgian. Are you married? Yeah, I'm married. Hi, Ireland. Ireland. I love Irish people. I even have a tattoo here. Like I can show you a little bit. So it's like a tattoo, the rose tattoo, and well, it's referred to the song of the Dropkick Murphys, Rose Tattoo song, one of my all-time favorite songs. Is Moraz currently the best contender? I mean, he might need to do one more fight. Also they wouldn't put the toughest contender for Islam yet. Like they want for him to also adapt well and obviously be able to successfully defend his title. But Moraz, as I said, it's like Alex Pereira in the welterweight, but with actual wrestling and grappling background. And he's big. He's a big. Like he would be easily a middleweight. So I think one of the toughest, is gonna be for Islam to fight against Morales. Have a great day. Your husband is lucky. Appreciate it. We both are lucky. We both are building this thing. Like he's like a backbone of this channel. He doesn't like to show up too much, but he's moderating. He's researching stuff. He helped me to solve the issue with the temporary suspension. All that kind of stuff. So he's my biggest supporter, and I am his biggest supporter. Do you have a younger sister? I have, but she's nothing like me. She's beautiful. She's taller than me, but she has some temper. I'm more personality-wise. There's some resemblance, but we're not really like we. In some things, we're quite opposite. Keep strong. Is Merab? Well, it's really your goat. He's everyone's goat. He's Merab is one of the people who actually deserves that. Especially if he now defends, and which I think he will defend his title, and it's going to be second fight with Piotr Jan. He's a goat. Like one of the best portfolios as well. Regarding fighting former champions, double champions, just dominating wrestlers, all that kinds of strikers as well, and evolving with his style. Like you can say that Merab's team really started focusing on him being more entertaining in the fights too. Like if before he would play safe, now he's not. Did you see that exchange with Corey Santana? Did you see Merab almost knocking out Corey and kind of resembling a little bit of Ilya's type of boxing? Maybe, I don't know, maybe they trained on that specifically. But I think Merab is a GOAT, and he's an amazing person, and I think all of the Georgia will love him. What do you think about the fighters growing up in Dagestan? All they should do is train. Should they have balanced life or continue to do one thing to become great? Well, that's the thing. I think when people say all of them, well, it's not necessarily true. The ones who achieve, like Islam, Habib, Umar, Usman, and some other Dagestani fighters, are the ones who did it basically full time and achieved the heights. But there are many other Dagestani fighters who do that on the maybe lower level. And as much as might be their lifestyle to go and train and do the wrestle stuff, but it's kind of normal. There are a lot of people who do that. So I do believe they have more of the life as well, but at the same time, their culture, the lifestyle revolves around quite a simple life. You know, they're not going out partying. They don't drink alcohol. They prefer to stay. If they're coming from the village, they stay in the nature. Like even Islam is like when he's retired, all he wants to do is just take care of his horses, and I think there is nothing wrong with that. I think it's quite cool. So should they do, like if they don't want to, like why would they do something that is just does not align with their principles? I kind of it reminds of my like me growing up as well. Like yeah, everyone else in the school started smoking at some point because it was popular, and they tried to kind of shame me on that. Like there's like, oh, you're not cool, like well, you're not smoking, like that's weird. Everyone, like all of us are smoking. And I would have my I would have my backpack. I was like, no, I'm going training. I was like fully invested in boxing there. Like I was super captivated, but I pretty much continued to do that way. I had maybe a couple periods in my life when I retired from boxing, like early amateur boxing. I was a little bit low in my life, and it was like student life, and I kind of like I would go out with others, drink the alcohol, and then very soon I realized I don't like the taste of alcohol. It doesn't necessarily, I don't need it as a social lubricant. I'm not gonna drink it, and I never smoked as well. So I'm like, yeah, just you gotta be truthful to yourself and do what is actually valuable. So a lot of think when you say like should they have a life? Well, they have a life. I think that part of that, spending time with their families, being in the nature, taking care of horses, I think that's a great life. Okay, keep scrolling up. Appreciate you being here, guys. Doesn't make sense for Islam to fight Ilya even at 160. Islam is already a double champ. No, I agree. I'm not saying Islam necessarily going to agree with it, but the only possibility, unless Ilya goes to the welterweight, but I think it's going to be a mistake. I love Ilya. I think he's one of the best. I love their rivalry between Islam and Ilya. But 170, the welterweight division gonna limit Ilya. That's what I think. But I don't know what his team is up to. To me, the most optimal for both would be a catchweight, obviously for the right agreement, right contract, right compensation. Because people ask for, everyone says, well, Islam cares for legacy and stuff, right? And he also cares for his honor. And Ilya is now kind of going after him. He's like, oh, the most boring thing, the one thing you need to learn is emotion, that kind of stuff. So Islam might be like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. I'll do that because to kick Ilya's ass. But from the other hand, Ilya's gonna be like, yeah, finally, he's gonna fight me. And I think that's one of the biggest fights that people want to see. So it's not only for Islam doesn't seem to be also a person who would just sit on his belt and kind of like cherry pick people. I don't think so. You gotta be smart who you're fighting and when you're fighting. That is one thing. But I do believe that just because of his personal honor and a little bit of ego, Islam might accept it, and the catchweight is like an optimal. So both of them can be like in the optimal shape to show their capabilities. Okay, guys, no adult content. I don't want to time out or banned from the channel like everyone who is asking that. I understand we're living in a world that's, people do that kind of stuff, but yeah, I'm just respectfully saying that no adult content, no OnlyFans, only real talks, training, and building a positive community. So it's question in Georgian, when you're planning to do first pro fight. Sanam akwar didi albatobit Taiwanchi პირველი როგორც ასეთი ეს ბრძოლა მომზადების ამბავში ეხა შაბათს მივდივარ სპარინგებზე სპარინგზე, ანუ იმ დარბაზში, სადაც ვარჯიშობდასაც უკვე მეგობრები მყავს. და ტრენერი ვიეტნამელი ბიჭია, მაგრამ ძალიან კაი მოკრივია და ძალიან კაი ერთ-ერთი საუკეთესო ტრენერია, ვინც მე შემხვედრია. I'm talking about the trainer, how I'm going on Saturday for the sparrings, the boxing trainer there who is like, good acquaintance, and we're all friendly there. He's just gonna see and estimate my level, and yeah, we're gonna just work towards that. So we're gonna now I'm getting at the stage that it's not only me training myself and watching. I need to bring someone who is professional, trainer, coach, and they give me their perspective too. Because a lot of the time, you know how to do it correctly, but you still have a little imperfections that matter quite a lot. And that's why you need someone else to give you those assignments, to give some guidance, and this is kind of like a part of the work. და მოკლედ რა, როგორც ვთქვი, მოვემზადები. ჩემთვის ყველაზე მთავარია ეს ახლა რაღაცების გაწმენდა და მეორე არის გამძლეობა. ანუ აი პეისინგი, გამძლეობა, რომ ოპტიმალური გამძლეობა მქონდეს, რომ პირველი სადებიუტო ალბათ 4 რაუნდი იქნება ზოგადად პროებში, ქალების და 2 წუთიანი, 4-5 რაუნდი დაუშვათ, ხო? ეგ იქნება რა. Okay. Keep scrolling up. When I talk like in a weird language, that's Georgian, guys. So you can witness some Georgian talking here. We don't talk about women fighters as much as the male fighters. Well, we can talk about them. It's fine. Actually, yesterday I was rewatching some of the fights. And I realized that I've seen first Valentina versus Nunes fight, and I haven't seen the second one. So I watched the second one fully, and Valentina won. That was a robbery. And as much people say, oh, Valentina just countering and that's it. But man, how she's doing. Like, she might be also one of the best fighting IQs, but her style lays heavily into reacting to your movement, and that is like a part of the fighting IQ, right? She also goes in the offense. Like in that fight, she was going on the offense. She wasn't just like countering and waiting for Amanda, but also like the how beautifully once you get in that range, she's gonna like lock like that trap, boom boom boom, like she always goes, and then like she goes on the leg kicks, elbows, very interesting, like. And one of the cleanest, maybe, like, yes, it's a female martial art. There might be slight differences because we have physiological differences. But what I see between, if you take Valentina Shevchenko, Nunes, if you take Harrison, Holly Holm, if you take Namajunas, Jacek and Jangavela, like even those, they are at the level that are super explosive. They're like maybe even cleaner than some of the male fights. You know what I mean? Because like I don't know. Is it like a certain mentality? Is it like just the style how it developed in the female martial arts? But I think it's quite cool. I think I enjoy watching that high level of the women's martial arts. One of the females that is. Dakota Dicheva, she's not in UFC, but everyone, I think they want her to be in. They want to see her against Valentina potentially, and like some others. Essentially, like she's also super entertaining to watch. And there's some upcoming, anyways, female mixed martial arts are evolving rapidly. They already evolved to a certain point, and I think that's quite fascinating. So yeah, we feel free to talk about that too. It's not like we're talking about only male. Okay, I keep scrolling up. Okay, I'm being ranting a little bit. I'm sorry for that. I'm gonna go through the chat now. Yeah, it's just too small, but again, being shorter is not necessarily a problem if it's a right weight class. In the welterweight, he's not going to be only smaller, he's going to be literally lighter, too light to be able to do anything not necessarily. He might still be better at the stance and still build offensive, but I'm talking about more like a grappling slash wrestling. Islam vs. Jay, everyone said Gideon was a terrible striker. Islam would be knocked out, but when the fight started, Islam started playing puppets with GDM. Will be well. That's the thing. Islam also proved that he's very good in the distance control, and he's a good counter striker. Like I was watching him as like purely striking, and again, some people say, like a lot of people still say, oh, he was grappling. Yeah, I mean, he goes, Islam style. He at some point very how to say that, like he's gonna stand clean in the striking. All of a sudden, he goes for a takedown, and I think it's this is kind of the smart way to transit. But when the moments when he was out striking GDM, yeah, he made him look not a good boxer. And I don't know, there's a combination of psychological factors. When you are psychologically low, your footwork suffers, your speed, everything, that you become super tense and tight. So there is partially things that happen to GDM because he's definitely better than he was with Islam. But Islam outclassed him in the striking too, and there is no questions regarding that. Okay, I keep scrolling up. Never met the girls that is into martial arts before. I think they might not making content like I do or like live streaming. I know a lot. I know a lot of women, they are into martial arts. I mean, a lot, relative, few. I know some, a few of them. Okay, I keep scrolling up, and please don't spam, guys, because I'm trying to go through the chat. So I'm gonna get to your message at some point. Topuria will knock Islam out in striking. Well, no, like he has a terribly heavy punches, and not just heavy. Like Pratis and Morales also have that boom, heavy, dull punch. You can even hear it. But Ilya is not throwing punches like that. He goes like boom, boom. Like usually it's like two hooks. And he sets it up in a smart way. He works stomach, which is a lot of mixed martial arts forget about working on opponent's core. So yeah, no, he is something that Islam has to be careful. But Islam's ability to keep the distance, for example, for Ilya, it's not going to be as easy to get there like with Charles Oliveira, who like literally goes in. Or with Gage or Dustin Poirier, who would like just go on the offense, and he would just use that momentum. So even in the striking, it's interesting to see basically Ilya going after Islam and Islam countering it and trying to keep him on the distance. And then when they goes on the ground, also seeing how Ilya does the takedown defenses, how he engages in the wrestling and grappling. Because don't forget, Ilya is also primarily actually coming from the wrestling and BJJ background. Like your hair, appreciate it. Thanks for all the positive. I love your hair. Thank you. Do you think Indian fighters ever make a comeback in the UFC? Well, guys, honestly, I'll be honest. There are like 1.6 billion of you already, so just gotta try to figure that one out. Dagestan fighters train so hard. Yes, that's true. But there is also the thing about training hard and train smart at the same time. And training smart means you might not train as often, or you train often, but you have a couple harder days, and then the rest is like a technique, polishing things. But recovery is something that I think a lot of mixed martial artists suffer. And what it results in? It results in those early injuries, like basically wearing off the body. The one person that I remember is Darren Till, for example. Darren Till who was supposed to be in his prime, who was supposed to be like, you know, a superstar, good on the mic, this and that. But his training, his team, going super heavy on the trainings, going super heavy on the sparrings, this and that, basically surviving in training. It might be good for so-called gladiator mentality and that kind of stuff, but in the reality, long term, it just wears you off. And it doesn't only wear you off for, like, you know, long-term health, and you just suffer from those injuries and the side effects and the pain symptom for basically the rest of your life. It also hits you in the moment when you're supposed to be at your prime, those unnecessary injuries. And fans usually forget about it. When they're saying, oh, it's just an injury, you'll recover that. Well, it doesn't work exactly that way. When you have a cartilage damage, arthritis, impingements, hernias, this and that, it really starts building like limitations to your performance. So is training hard actually the best, or is it right to train hard when it's actually a right time for it, and then give your body and your brain to recover like exact amount of time that you need, and find a balance and actually build an optimal, strong performance? Okay. Oh, I'm not saying that Ilya cannot knock out. I think he would be able to knock him out in 170, because he would also, if he gains weight correctly, then do the cut and then regains that weight on the, like, for the fight day, obviously it's going to increase his power too, and he would be already adapted to carrying that extra weight, because when you gain weight through the muscles, and then when you do water cut, majority of water coming out from your muscles, but then you rehydrate, so it actually gives you power and speed. Like, it doesn't really necessarily make you suffer when it's like in those aspects, but I'm just talking about more like your wrestling aspect. Islam's going to do the same. Islam's going to try to gain even more weight, do the water cut, and be able to regain even more weight. Like, let's say, like some people do like 15, 20 pounds on top. And, well, for Ilya, Islam, who is like almost like a 185 pounds, grappling wrestling could be a little bit of difficult thing for Ilya. Yeah, my husband also says in the chat, the problem with Dagestan style training doesn't give enough recovery, and it's overtraining 100%. Yeah, that's true. You're strong, I appreciate it, agree with you. I mean, it's not my opinions either necessarily, it's more like what science says, and I'm pro-science. I understand science and researchers and all, there's always something new coming up, but the one thing we definitely know for certain now, after many decades of the physical training culture development and boxing and, you know, like whatever, everything, the one common knowledge we know is that sleep recovery, the quality sleep, quality recovery is even more important. It's basically laying a brick. What would you do? Would you lay a few bricks and give that line to enough time to harden, to, you know, lay down properly, and then you would continue to do the same after it's dried out and secured? Or you would try to do as much as possible, and then it's, you know, you don't give it enough time to harden, and then you continue? Essentially, you're going to have a breaks in the construction, right? Okay, keep scrolling up. You look like this type of girl whose picture have in a heart-shaped vlog that takes one last look at before I'm over by the enemy's army. I've been told that by someone else before, and I said that that's actually a very cool catching phrase. So yeah, like if you find a special lady in your life, tell her that at some point. That's sweet, but don't tell that someone to just like a stranger. I think it's, you know, they might consider that as a simping, and you don't want to be a simp, guys. Outside of all the topics. don't be simps. Value yourself, and even if you give compliments to ladies and women, do that smart. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for being here. It's quite a big chat here now. Pound for pound king. Islam is a pound for pound king, followed by Pantoja, who is very underrated. Well, Pantoja is in the 4th or 5th place, and yeah, he might be underrated, but unfortunately, with the flyweight men's division, it's a little bit suffering. Yeah, and it's been same for Demetrius Johnson. So it's, yeah, I understand, but at the same time, he's still in the top 5 or top 4. When it comes to Islam, yes, he went up to the pound for pound, and people being like, a lot of Georgians were, oh, like he does, but let's be objective. First of all, there is literally this little rivalry. So now, let's say Ilya does his title defense, or couple title defenses, he's probably going to come, especially against Arman Tsarukyan, he's going to go up again. And it's going to be like this, who's first, who's second, and then we have those two fighting, and potentially maybe even triology. It's not going to just end like there potentially might be a triology between Islam and Ilya, despite a little issue with which weight class and how, and you know, all the talks about that. But that could be a super potential for UFC. Fans would love it. So there is nothing wrong. I think Islam deserves to be right now at pound for pound, because he went up to the weight class. Now he became a 2-time champ. Send Ilya to 3 years and forget. Oh, yeah, you're not saying that. I think he already been sent. Spent more than 2-3 years in the right preparation. Okay, I keep scrolling up. Redhead hates Sims. I don't hate Sims. I feel sorry for them, and I don't want, like, if my son would like simp for a girl, like in a way that, oh, like, you know, just I will do whatever. I'll tell him, son, as much as you need to, like, I'm gonna try to teach you, like, I'm teaching you to respect the women and this and that. You gotta respect yourself too. Actually, you're gonna respect you have to respect yourself in the first place to be able to respect women or anybody else. So I don't hate Sims, but I encourage guys not to be them. Just not good for you. Appreciate it. All the compliments, all the good words, all the encouragement. I really do appreciate it. Okay. John Pork is coming, guys. Islam next UFC champion. Well, that's funny because he doesn't like he has a different nickname, and I just saw it yesterday. He's being like quite frustrated because he's Muslim, and calling him pork, he just doesn't like it. Where are you from? I'm from Georgia. Speaking of Georgia, same country as Merab and Ilya, originally from Tbilisi, the capital. No makeup, this is a natural look. Yeah, like right now I don't wear anything. Like if I get closer, you see I have a couple pimples, and that's all right. I don't like, I rather have it like the way it is, just a fresh, clean face, rather than putting the foundation. I don't understand a point of foundation outside of maybe filming and stuff. Some girls try to put that mask on and they think that looks good. It looks good on camera in certain occasions, but it doesn't look in a daily life. It doesn't look good in a daily life. You look beautiful, more beautiful when you smile. I think everyone looks better when they smile. And an accent? Now let's go and run for the hills. The accent is like I'm self-taught in English. I learned English by myself in 2020 when I was 20 years old. So it's my third language after Georgian and Russian. And I don't know, I just practiced and I worked, and I still work with a pretty much American English-speaking clients, do personal sessions and consultations for quite some like. And then I met my husband, and I have a lot of foreigner friends, and traveling. English is specifically one of the languages that is like big enough to cover a lot of people of a lot of nationalities. So I think it's just a matter of practice. Practice outside of just learning it, but practicing it in a daily life. So you tell me what accent it sounds like. You married? Yes, I am. Simps get used. Yes. I mean, well, simping is a little bit just like, it's like almost like calling a name word, but people without boundaries get used. Simping is basically the synonym for a person who didn't establish their boundaries, and just because they want someone or they're like fall in love with someone, they're ready to lose themselves. But that's the thing. In the first place, you gotta establish your boundaries. You gotta establish who you are, what you want, and what you need in your life. What are your goals? Certain principles and morals that you're not gonna cross them. Not for a woman, not for anyone else, and that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Boundaries. I'm not a simp. I'm just very loyal to one woman. I don't know down unless I know there is a purity in her true light. There is nothing wrong with being loyal. It's actually the conversation is about the male loyalty. At some point, we had this like a social media like tendency from a hardcore red pill side that you gotta, as a man, you can have and you should have many women, and especially if they're high value. Well, you can afford it, sure, go ahead. But I do believe that loyalty, both in men and women, loyal to your family, loyal to your kids, loyal to your spouse, whatever that meaning is. I'm not talking only about romantically and like physically loyal. I'm talking about like caring, building each other's reputation, making each other good, looking good in the society, have a strong unity. Those responsibilities come both on men and women. And unfortunately, there was like when you encourage men that you're kind of like you're the prize only. Yeah, you are the prize. I'm not saying that, but if you really want to build, if your goal is to build a healthy, strong, loyal, truthful, unity, relationship, family, community, there are certain things that both of you need to do. And there is nothing wrong. There is never nothing wrong with a person being loyal, whatever is the agreement or understanding of that word, to another person, as long as the other person does the same. That is very important. As long as the other person does the same and they realize the responsibility behind it. So, I'm just saying that's not simping. Being loyal is not simping. Simping is lack of boundaries. When you don't have a boundaries, when you want something, you want relationship, you want love, you want a girlfriend or boyfriend or something, but you don't even have established boundaries in the first place. So you don't know how to navigate. You almost have, like, you have an area and you don't have a map how to navigate, where to stop, where to make other people stop to doing certain things towards you. And that's obviously you're gonna get taken advantage of. Okay, I'll keep scrolling up, guys. I appreciate you going through the chat. Thoughts on Argentina? Well, one of the countries I would love to visit, but apart from that, and well, I think good for you. You have a strong football culture. Georgia is Russia, ain't it? No, it's not. And every Georgian, loyal Georgian, is going to say that it's not. It's not. It's the country that has 2,000 years of history. Georgia existed even before Russia was existing as the country. Then you have a Russian Empire. Then we have the Bolshevik Russia, and then we have approximately 70 years of being in the Soviet Union, and multiple attempts from the Russian to erase our identity, our language, our religion, the culture. But they failed doing that. We preserved our language. We preserved our, even though Russia is primarily also a Christian country, that's one of the reasons why we agreed to get the Russians protection against the Muslims. But it created another problems, right? And then Bolshevik Russia was basically atheist. They tried to just erase churches, mosques, anything that was related to the religions. But here we are. I mean, we're not politically fully independent. I mean, there's still some problems and there's some proxy influences. But as we Georgians likes to say, we say language, motherland, and the faith, religion. Language is the first. As long as the Georgians have our language, our alphabet that is unique, that is rare, we won't extinct. And that's quite cool because, for example, Ilias is a Spaniard, right? And like a lot of people say, oh yeah, he's Spanish. Well, his mother, who is the refugee of Abkhasian War, her first husband and her brother died in that war, and they had to emigrate. Then they went to Germany, came back to Georgia, lived some time in Georgia. It was hard at that period, and even now it's hard to build up things in Georgia. So they moved to Spain, and then like this is where the boys. But they up until from 7 to 15, they grew up in Rustavi. They have friends there. They're rooted, and they speak fluent in Georgian. They like their mother and their parents. Ilia's father and Alexander's father is also Georgian. They made sure that they speak fluent Georgian language, that they are back, they always have those roots to their country. I just wanted to tell you that this is how it works for Georgians, and it's very important. I think it's quite beautiful as well. Okay, keep scrolling up, guys. Yeah, I don't want to be too behind on the chat, so I'm just gonna kind of go closer to up to the top. Okay, I'm gonna time out someone. Someone asking me to, like, where is their sandwich? Well, you're not my husband, so I'm not I'm not obligated to give you a sandwich, so just behave. Everyone asking about your personal life, but they should ask about UFC. How toxic are people? I mean, well, that's the thing. People, even when you create a brand out of your personality, in reality, people they don't want necessarily your opinions regarding your work, your expertise, or like, UFC even. They actually want to know you. So it's hard to necessarily, it can get toxic, I understand that, but I'm learning how to deal with it. There's no problem with that. From the other hand, at their hearts and at our hearts, we want to know the person. We want to see their value, how they talk, like their personality. Even if you go to UFC, okay, how many people there are less people who look at the personality of the person look at their martial arts skill and actually them being a good martial artist. That is not necessarily related for them to be watchable, interesting. Why? Because at the end of the day, personality. Why Carlos Prates is more interesting than to some people, to not to even some, to most of the people, like everyone, than some of the, I don't know, less flamboyant, because the guy is funny. Like he's like a walking meme. He's knocking out people. He's smoking and eating Nutella cakes before doing his weigh-ins, and it's kind of relatable to people. It kind of also like creates that personality that he's great. He doesn't take it that seriously, but at the same time, he's coming up there. So at the end of the day, people want personality. People want the story. I don't think there's anything wrong. So I'm ready. I'm always happy to share my personal life, but I also share it in a certain way. I'm not going to give you details what's going on with my family, if I argued with my husband or my mom or something like that. I'm not going to talk about these things, but I'm going to talk about dynamic. Like I always talk about dynamic of me and my husband. And I like to bring my husband a lot in the live stream, because people who watch us for long enough, they always greet him as well. They know who is Chris. They respect him. They think that we both are awesome. And our relationship dynamic is actually quite positive for a lot of people. A lot of people are like, oh, actually, that those things work. So yeah, personality. People are more interested about who you are and how you make them feel, rather than what you do and stuff. But sorry for ranting again. I'm like, that's one of my I can start a speech and then I need to focus on the chat. I appreciate, there are a lot of positive comments and a lot of compliments. I appreciate all of you. Compliments, encouragement, everything that is respectful and genuine. I appreciate that. Are you deciding to convert to Islam? Well, never in my life, and no disrespect to, by extension, to Dagestani fighters or anyone who is any Muslim fighters. As the woman, it's just not the best place for me. And even when I'm from Orthodox Christian country, I rather stay with the Christians, but even there, I have my personal belief system. I'm a big time seeker. I read about philosophies and teachings and trying to find those common values and common truths, or inherent truths, so-called, and build my personal value system. That's what I've been doing. But I share a lot of values from the Christianity, where I am from, for example. There are certain things I definitely agree with. Is Kvaratskhelia from Georgia? Yes, he is. For all the football fans, Khvicha Kvaratskhelia and Georgi Mamardashvili, they're currently one of the best goalkeepers as well. You might know that name as well. Weed is legal in Georgia, right? Not anymore. Not anymore. It was decriminalized since 2018, and they just recently they make it illegal. And one of the reasons it's related was the political events. They're trying to target a lot of people who are protesting against the current government, and they're doing that in many other ways. So unfortunately, it is what it is. But yeah, I'm just letting you know, it's not legal anymore. Where is my sandwich? Okay, my husband is asking. Well, I'll get you one. I'll make you one. Okay. Keep scrolling up. If I were to visit Georgia, where could you recommend people go to for a vacation? Georgia is such a small country. If you really go for, I don't know, depends, couple weeks or months, you actually can see a lot of things. It's not that much traveling, even to the furthest point. So I would recommend to go to Tbilisi first, because it's a capital, and it's more like eastern Georgia, like eastern side. And then you can navigate. There's like you can go north, mountain region. You can go to the west, which is like it's a couple other cities. You can go coast, Batumi, and the areas surrounded it. You have Svaneti, right? Just like so, you have few mountain regions that are just beautiful and amazing. You have south of Georgia with there's some even like a semi-desert areas. And you can always book a tours. They're quite affordable tours. Some of them are like single day. You just go and come back, and you'll be fascinated because it's like even within a day you can see such a big difference between like a capital city and the natural destination. But then there are longer tours, like 2-3 days, 4 days, 1 week, and I still think that for foreigners, especially for Westerners, they are quite affordable. And yeah, that's a good way to explore Georgia through the hiking and a little bit of camping and going to some natural destinations. I'll keep scrolling up. Is she talking about Morales and Pratis? Yes, I've been talking about them before. Okay, she's pretty based, my husband says. She's been trained well. I'm Georgian, but I have some Slavic roots, as you can see. If you want to look at the Georgian women, they don't necessarily look like me. There are some regions that are more blonde, blue eyes, like Megrelian Georgians are like that. Some mountain region Georgians somehow. It's interesting enough that they have like a dark blonde hair and green eyes, or like a hazel blue eyes sometimes. But usually Georgian women are darker hair, quite a light skin, like a pale skin, or quite light skin. Brown eyes, that kind of stuff. So I have Slavic roots. My mom is half Russian, half Ukrainian, originally from Crimea herself. So I'm a little bit of mix. I'll keep scrolling through the chat, guys. And please don't spam. Oh, someone's contracting and relaxing the pelvic floor muscles and Kegel trainings. Well, you know what? I mean, thanks for the donation. I appreciate it. And despite the motive, what you said now, like whatever you said, that's actually a healthy thing to do. Might be a little bit, uncomfortable for some people, but yeah, I'll listen to that guy. Contracting and relaxing the pelvic floor muscles. Okay, we're still on I'm keep scrolling. Practice your English. Well, I'm doing it for quite a few years now. There are 2 Georgian champions in UFC. That's right, sir. I'm in Vietnam, Nha Trang right now. I'm in one of the coffee shops, and it's heavily raining for the last few days. Have you ever had any bad injuries boxing? No. The biggest injury I had is, if you look, my nostrils are differently shaped. So I had the septum. My nose wasn't broken, but because of the like a left hook, my nose got a little bit dislocated. So it doesn't seem bad, but I actually used to have quite like super straight nose. So yeah, it is now. If you look from the different angles, the profile slightly changed, but that's okay. Those things are manageable, and one of the reasons why I never eat anything with it, because first of all, it doesn't bother me, like breathing wise. Second of all is like I always felt that potentially I might do more fighting. So like after that, this is the good time, like when you actually finally decide to retire, and don't do it like don't do like a heavy crazy sparrings anymore and fights. Then this is when you take care of your nose, I think. What makes someone wants to punch people in the face and be punched? It's not about that. It's about the urge of challenge yourself. It's basically a fight. At least for me, this is almost like an inner war between you and yourself. It's facing your fears. It's facing your insecurities, and it's winning over. Every time, it's winning over yourself. So it's more like it lays under the warrior mentality, like a peaceful warrior. It's like the inner path. And I think a lot of fighters, a lot of boxers, and a lot of people who are engaging in any combat sports and martial arts, this is something, that's the urge that pushes them. And some of them have that in a higher level. Some of them just love the blood and just be there. Some of them, it's just about balance between a quiet lifestyle, normal lifestyle, and that's moments when you prepare for those moments and you go. I think I'm more of a person like that. There's a lot of things that I like to have the conversations, read, to learn things. I like art and music and those kind of practices as well. But then there is something that is okay, now I'm going to put myself in an uncomfortable situation. Now I'm going to, it almost feels like you're gassing out, dying, but you push through it and you make yourself stronger mentally, not physically in the first place, but mentally. Viva Elia Tapuria. Okay, I appreciate you being here, and well, there's some jokes going on. Feel free to talk to each other in the chat as well. Your English is very good for being self-taught. I appreciate it. And I'm all the way up in the top of the chat finally. Do you compete now? I'm looking forward to. I'm in the preparational phase. So if you stay around and watch more of my live streams, I'm gonna have one later when I do a boxing training. Then this week, in Saturday, I'm going to talk to another coach and get the other outside perspective as well, and get some help for my preparation as well. My husband says Super Chat was down because of the bank issue, and maybe because we used VPN all the time. We just had the VPN on all the time, and they can create issues. So it's like an insufficient traffic thing. Both things been solved now, and today I woke up to the realization that monetization is back, Super Chats are back, and it's sweet because a lot of people actually support this channel, support me. And I'm highly appreciating and very thankful for that. In bantamweight, can someone beat Merab? I don't see anyone at this point. I don't see anyone. The only thing regarding Merab, despite his crazy energy and just being a non-stop moving and training, I hope the team are being smart about it. And unfortunately, he suffers some of the injuries every now and then. Sometimes he's he doesn't let that bother him. But accumulative injuries wear your body off. So I hope they're going to be smart about it. If there's something serious, there's nothing wrong for Merab to rest longer after this crazy year when he does a forced title defense, for example, right? So I hope his team's going to manage that. What do you think about Makhachev becoming double champ? I was happy for my boy Islam. People who watch me for some time, they know that I actually, out of Dagestani fighters, Islam is my favorite. Nothing wrong against Habib. I have quite a respect with Habib, except certain things he said that it was a little bit biased. But Habib has more question marks regarding, people call him GOAT, and he opened the path for Dagestani fighters. No doubt was that. He's like a pioneer for that part of the world, and he's highly respected, and he's a great coach as well. But as a fighter and as a personality and as just being fun, combination out of Dagestani fighters, Islam is my favorite. For example, I don't like Nurmagomedov but like not Habib. I'm talking about Umar and Usman, for example, for a reason that they're kind of a little bit relying on their name, on their surname. And well, we saw that, like how Umar got humbled by Mirab. You know, that was quite satisfying to watch. From the other hand, Islam, I think he absolutely deserved it. He absolutely proved it. And one thing that he was even cooler was he actually he showed the better striking as well than GDM, where I expected GDM to be more pressuring in the stance. You know what I mean? So you're just being a big Ilya fan. Like both Merab and Ilya are Georgians, okay? So they kind of that's a little bit enough for me. I can always say something that I might disagree with them or something, but I cheer for them. When it comes to those guys, I'm biased. I'm gonna cheer for them no matter who they face, because they're Georgians, because they're doing great, and yeah, it's like they're having very interesting journeys, and they're on their ways to be. Merab is a goat to me already. Ilya is on the way, like he's a star now, and he's on the way to be GOAT as well. And this rivalry with Islam is like a very good enhancement for it as well. But I'm not like a fan. I don't like calling myself fan. I'm more like enthusiast. I like a lot of fighters and a lot of personalities in the mixed martial arts. Okay, you know what? There is someone reading a prayer in Georgian. That's like a prayer that would be taught in school. So it's in Georgian. I'm gonna read it for you. Mama uçueno romeli xatsata shina. Tsmida iqos sakheli sheni, movides supeva sheni, iknas neba sheni, vitartsa sata egretsa kveqanasa zeda. It's a little bit hard for me to translate now, but it's basically a prayer to the Lord. It's who is like the Lord above and the sky, and the above. The blessed might be your name. Like may your will be upon us, like in the heaven and on the earth, something like that. A little cultural thing from the Georgia. Can I keep scrolling up? What's your thoughts on Makhachev become the dog? I was happy. I'm not. I was like, wow, that's gonna be interesting now. English kids. There's so many schools, so no English kids are in there. Okay, so I'm trying to stay with the chat, but I also need to scroll a little bit faster. So my husband says, Cosme, crazy focus your training, and the left hook is the one punch that makes the most knockouts. Diana knows more, but don't know if she sees your question. Try to donation or something. Oh, donations always help. It also pops up the chat so I can see it better. But okay, left hook thing. So left hook is one of the, or like a front hook. It's just the majority orthodox. So left hook is one of the most common knockout punch, like statistically. But it's not just a single one. Yeah, sometimes you throw a single one, very powerful one. But even here, you need to do like a gazelle hook, for example, like to create the momentum to get in. If you just do like a check hooks are not very rare, seldomly there, especially in the boxing. You rather need to get the momentum, but do like the hop in, like the sort of gazelle hook or gazelle jab, doesn't matter. Or you need to put it in combination. For example, you would do like jab, hook, right hook, and then you go left hook, because you are moving your body in a certain way. You increase the range of motion, and you kind of like trigger up, and then you release that trigger. Okay, so I'll show you more later, okay, because that's something that I also want to practice more. So I'm gonna do that in a later live stream with the boxing training. You just came randomly on my pin and heard Umar and Usman name, and I'm a big UFC fan. Strange, huh? Yeah, I mean, yeah, I watch it, I follow it up, and well, my viewers like to talk about those things. So that's actually one of my favorite conversations, talking about the like upcoming and the current events and ongoings in the UFC and fighters and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, well, stay tuned. I am myself a boxer, so when I do my trainings, I mostly focus on the boxing. But I've done enough training in the way as like I trained with MMA fighters, and we would just like exchange our knowledge and skills. So I tried freestyle, Greco-Roman wrestling. I tried judo. I tried, just do like a kickboxing, generic MMA stuff. So it's enough experience for me. When I watch the fight, I enjoy it. I kind of see like how it's breaking down. It's not for me just okay. I'm just a pure striker, and now they're going for grappling. That's going to be hugging. No, I don't really look at it that way, and that's why I like mixed martial arts, and that's why. Right now I'm focusing mostly on the UFC because that was the first mixed martial art organization that I ever watched, and I've been mostly invested into it. It's also the western part of the world are more into that one. You also have one championships, you have PFL, you have others, but I don't really follow up on others at this point. Maybe I should, but I'm just saying the way it is. So yeah, I appreciate you being here. And all, have you watched 322? Yeah, I watched it, and I even live streamed it, how I was watching and reacting to it. And obviously I wasn't putting the screen and in here, because it's a copyright claims, but I was reacting to it, and I watched the main card. I missed the prelims because it was morning and I was sleeping. I woke up just for the moment when Dariush was knocked out, and then people were asking, just in the moment I predicted, I was like for Carlos Prates and Michael Morales to perform a knockout, which happened. And then Valentina, I was for Valentina, possibly was the decision just because of their style. And in the women, at that level, you don't see that many knockouts. It's more about like a pure mixed martial arts exchange and striking and wrestling, that's more like the tactical stuff. So I was anticipating her to win via decision. And with Islam and Judaism, I was uncertain. I was like 50-50, just because there was the whole thing about Judaism preparing, training with Craig for BJJ. And let's be honest, he did not get submitted, so he did successful Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu defense. But the problem is, you cannot. You cannot create a win situation when you have wrestling against Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because you're going to be on the ground, and yeah, you defend yourself from the ground. You're not going to submit Makhachev from the ground position. That's like no way that happens. And he's going to press you and be like a dominant on the ground, and at least have a ground control, right? So the point is, and Gideon's boxing, I don't know what happened to him. He wasn't good. He was not anywhere near the Islam. So yeah, essentially that went to Islam, and he proved one more time that he is the current GOAT of the UFC. But we shall see, because welterweight is now stacked. We have Prates, but we also have Morales. We have Shavkat, who is, I don't know, nothing, don't hear anything from him, but he's been recovering from injury. We'll see. That could be a very interesting matchup. But I'm going to be the most interesting for me is Morales versus Islam. That one is the most interesting. There is also Kamaru Usman. But again, as I said, Morales versus Islam, I think that will be a toughest matchup for Islam. Okay, I appreciate it. Keep scrolling up, guys, through the chat. No spamming, Chris says. You look like a mermaid. MMA mermaid. That's actually a cool nickname. It's actually a cool nickname. MMA mermaid. Is Ronda Rousey the GOAT? Well, she was definitely one of the, if not the pioneers, she definitely brought eyes to UFC and female UFC. She was very, like her performances up until a certain point when competition was not as high, like was super cool. She was doing like almost like a stunt move sometimes, with her like flying arm bars and shit. The problem with Ronda is not even that she got outperformed. She didn't really follow up with really developing her striking game as well and actually evolving with the sport. But even apart from that, the biggest problem with Ronda is she didn't act like a champion when she lost. And her talks and excuses and like diminishing other female athletes and basically becoming salty, I think that's the biggest thing that kind of created a turn off within the thing, within the fans. That like I've been a fan at some point, but now I'm like, do I really like that person that much when they cannot have that honor and dignity when they lose? Because like for me, if I lose fights, let's say if I lose a fight, that's it. If it's controversial, I might say, well, I'll leave up to the people who watched it, I will leave it like, I'm not gonna argue, but I gotta rewatch it myself too. So it's okay to have an opinion, let's say if you're striped of your fight and anything like that. But when you clearly lose, you gotta humble, you gotta congrats the new champ, you gotta be humble, and you're gonna tell your fans that you're gonna come back stronger. So yeah, I don't know, like Ronda, I think she did a lot for the sport. She definitely brought the eyes. Calling her a GOAT, at that point before, yes. At this point, comparing now, for example, Dimitri Johnson, GSP, they would be able to compete even now. If they were at his prime, they would still be GOATs. You know what I mean? Because they were evolving with their competition while they were active. Well, I think DJ is still active in one championship, but I'm not so sure about that. But yeah, you got the point, right? To me, female GOATs are definitely Valentina Shevchenko. We can put Amanda Nunes in this category, but I would put Valentina one of the tops. You know what I mean? Keep scrolling up. Dana Scally, Becky Lynch, Scout Johansson, she gets compared to them all the time. Yes, I do. I really do. Morales versus Islam, 1-round submission. Well, the problem is the guy has a judo wrestling background. He's way too big that just to easily submit him. I'm not underestimating Islam. If Islam gets to your back, that's super dangerous no matter how big you are. But have you heard more the Morales punches echo when he punches? It's not even necessarily super fast punches, but it's super long. It's like a poof, like an earthquake. Done. So there is a big danger for Islam being knocked out by Morales. I'm not saying that's happening exactly that way. Morales is, as I said, he's like a Pereira of the welterweight at this point, but actually with the grappling and the wrestling background. Do you think that Ian Machado Gary can defeat Islam Makhachev? Yeah, he's another strong contender. I cannot tell you that he might defeat him or anything like that. Again, for me, the biggest danger is Morales. Not necessarily only because of skills or anything, because of his being a super big weight bully, super powerful punches, scary presence. And that's the problem. In the striking, it might be a problem for Islam because the Morales has a bigger reach. So just counter punching might not be as optimal anymore for him. So he would try to go for the ground, but that's the point. Morales has wrestling. He has it. He knows how to be there too. and he's also big, so he could use his power to do the takedown defense, for example, more successful than it would be in someone that is Islam size or smaller in the division. I'm just saying that sometimes those physical factors do really matter. They really do. You should watch the boxing movie, Christy. It's really good. Oh yeah, I've been really wanting to watch it. And I love that a lot of people were like, oh, I'm gonna watch this movie to support Sydney Sweeney because like there are necessary clash in there. I'm happy that Christy herself is supporting her, but also people who went to watch it, everyone's saying that it's actually good. So she's been acting well and stuff. So I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna definitely giving it a try. Shaukat is the toughest matchup. That's why woman knowledge is dumb too. Well, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm not saying Shaukat is not a tough matchup, but Shaukat is also still, I guess, recovering from the injury. So what do you want him to do right now? It also really depends how he recovers through that injury. And tell me why Morales is not one of the toughest matchups for Islam. Like, instead of calling me dumb or saying, like, you know, me calling me names, make an argument, make a point. Keep scrolling up. I'm not actually Slavic. I don't think I even have anything Latina in me. I'm not even from that part of the world, if you know what I mean. Who wins Ilya versus Islam? Well, that's the thing. It's 50-55, but if it would happen in welterweight, that would give advantage to Islam, like maybe 60-40, maybe even more. But if it's a catchweight and lightweight, it's still 50-50 for me. Because they're both super well-rounded, with a slight advantages, and like Ilya has the power and power advantage and the offensive boxing and very smart boxing advantage. Islam is also good on he's good at countering, he's good at distance control, so it's not, and he throws kicks, so that those unexpected high kicks are there. Gotta be super cautious. And the grappling, I think Islam is one of the best grapplers/wrestlers in the UFC at this point, but Ilya is also coming from the wrestling/BJJ background. He's black belt in BJJ. So even though I think Islam might have a slight advantage there, it's not going to be like GDM, who was just being training BJJ, and Ilya even criticized him. He said he just needs to go through a pure wrestling camp. And that's good thing about Ilya. He trains different aspects separately. He trains wrestling with pure wrestlers. He trains BJJ with BJJ. He trains boxing with pure boxers. And I think it's a very good approach. So it's not going to be that one-sided on grappling as well, unless it's 170, because in that case, the weight advantage and the size advantage would play in the Islam's on the Islam side. Okay, and keep scrolling up. Does Tom win his next fight? Well, that's the thing. We were seeing that with Gunn, that was not necessarily. It's a little bit hard to judge by first round, but okay. It's rather Tom actually was getting his space. Just good example. This fight in 322 UFC, the Edwards versus Pratis. Edwards was winning first round. He actually was. But then Pratis just adapted. He got his range already. Boom, knockout. So from that the first round, it could go both ways. It could go rather, okay, that would have to go longer. It would go 2-3, maybe entire fight, maybe even decision. Or Tom could, or both, Tom and Gunn could go, well, I would still go for Tom, because I was seeing that Tom was getting his pace. And a little bit of bleeding nose, that is people, that's not an indicator. Tom actually landed way more punches to Gunn's head. both thrown and landed punches. When Gunn was winning just by the average calculation, he just general threw more body shots and leg kicks. So it was interesting way, but then you have that nasty eye poke, and I don't know, people, what's wrong with people? People are like, oh, he could continue. Oh, first title defense, super deep, like eye poke, both eyes. Even if he didn't get like a retinal damage, he could, I pretty much guarantee he couldn't see properly. He wouldn't be able to see 100%. And your eyes is your one of the most important tools. You cannot react, you cannot do, you cannot adapt properly in the fight if you don't see, even if your vision is slightly blurred. So the point is, I still see Tom. I don't see Tom losing necessarily. I still think that he can win. And that's why I'm very looking forward for him and Gunn to rematch as soon as possible, and we shall see. I think it should be disqualifications, and it should be like now they're doing it. Now they're imposing it more with like a point deduction, and yeah, if you eye poked someone like clearly and they had to stop because of that, you need to be disqualified. Okay, keep scrolling up, guys. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Sorry, there's quite a big chat, so I'm trying to follow up on it. Great perspective. Hi from UK. Appreciate it. Thank you. Ile has killer striking, but I think he cannot mix striking with wrestling. What do you mean mix striking with wrestling? I mean, he actually trains separately. And when I say train separately, not like having general training and you do a little bit of wrestling. No, he has like his pure days for pure wrestling and this and that, just to have the authentic skill of wrestling. And I bet he has some trainings when he puts all of it together, like technical sparring, stuff like that. But when he's learning a skill, he's learning it like completely hyper focusing on the one sport. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for being here, guys. People say DDP going to win against Chimaev, but what happened? Well, Chimaev has arguably the best offensive wrestling in the UFC. So it's a little bit like, and DDP is actually tough as nails. And also Makhachev, like Islam versus Gideon was way better fight because Islam actually was winning on the striking too. Makhachev just played completely safe, just having it a wrestling control. It was a pure wrestling match, and DDP trying to save the survive the crucifix and the attempts for submission. And funny enough, when Khamzat was being told that okay, finally now you can try to go aggressively for submission, what happened? DDP flipped him over, and he actually had those last seconds. So that was a little bit like, that makes me question a little bit, should the rules be changed in mixed martial arts? Because if you're a high elite wrestler and you get that control, like the wrestling control, not BJJ, wrestling control, like it's almost impossible to escape. Like it really is, unless you are also a high elite level of wrestler. So the point here is, what do we do? Should the refs break it off more often? So it's like, there are different, I don't know, should there, like, it's hard, like, I'm not that, I don't have that qualification to establish it, to limit, like, the takedown attempts. You cannot do that directly. But how do you think, like, the rules need to be changed or not? Because when you have the high level of wrestler, and if they're not like Islam, who is actually trying to balance and do both striking and wrestling for entertain, I think he also does it for entertainment's sake too. Well, Chimaev is not that personality. He actually just cares about winning, getting, he's been saying that, like, winning money, getting paid, support his family, that kind of stuff. But it's not that entertaining. So I don't know. Is it how do we manage that? What's your opinions on that one? Yeah, my Chris agrees with me. My husband basically about the yeah, that's a good info, by the way. There is no doubt that Tom got fucked by the eye poke. 67 of the eye pokes are done by 14% of fighters in cowardly tactic, and gun is known for fighting dirty. Yeah. And like it's in this case like a victim blaming so-called. I mean, it just was a little bit like unbelievable. It also showed a lot of people's not a sport how you said not a sportly attitude. You might not be an athlete yourself, but you kind of need to understand what is a real sportsmanship and what is not. And as a fan, also things that you can justify, and there are things that you don't justify. You know what I mean? Okay, I'll keep scrolling up, guys. Appreciate you being here, by the way. My husband says the nation's super likes and memberships are highly appreciated after a long time without monetizations. Yeah, we've been 30 days suspended approximately. Thanks God that is solved. Also appreciating the support, YouTube support and like AdSense support. They helped us with that. But yeah, now again, feel free to support the channel, support me if you're willing to. Now you have the opportunity to do that through super chat donations. Everyone say they can scramble is from wrestling, but fight their open, hopeless eyes says a lot. Well, if we gotta be completely honest, people have been saying also, oh, I've been training BJJ. BJJ is not gonna help against Islam's wrestling. And BJJ, because he's also black belt in BJJ. So he knows how to do a ground, like, even if he ends up, if he ends up on the ground, he knows what to do, right? So it's like being a fish in the sea. The only person I see being able to do something against Islam, or comes out like the super aggressive dominating wrestling, is someone who also has a wrestling background mixed with BJJ. Only BJJ is not enough against Chechnyan, Dagestani, and Georgian wrestlers. If Tom continued to fight, he would have lost, so he could quit. That's what happened. Well, he would lose, yes. But would it be fair? Would it be smart at all? That's the point. That's the point, guys. And would it be good to get unnecessary damage? You forget that if you don't see, you get way more blows to your head. It's higher chance to damage your eyes actually after the poke, because the inner part is getting irritated, it's getting blurred, and potentially with gun he could do more eye pokes. There was a chance of more eye pokes happening. Of course we know that in this setting, but that's the point. It's completely unfair setting to lose in. Every time someone good dominates, you guys want to change the rules. That's not fair. Well, the problem is it's a mixed martial arts, and it's actually it was before Dagis and before Chechens and Georgians. It started from Gracies, but it was more BJJ, but it was dominant. So basically, like BJJ, wrestling, grappling, like all those combined are like sambo. They're dominating. But for example, the thing is that we have different fighters. Take the last emperor. Take Fyodor Yemelenenko. Yemelenenko is sambo. He's primarily sambo background, but the guy was super entertaining because, like, he was also great in the stance. He trained that stance, and he was not rushing just to be dominating, just, you know, maul his opponents only on the ground. So there was something different before, and there was like at some point when we were getting a combination of like a striker and wrestlers, and you know, like maybe not as clean as super technical, but you had both. After like Gracie Sakuraba, like Pioneer era, we started getting more well-rounded fighters, and you didn't need that rule to kind of, because they were both stance and ground, and it was super entertaining. But now, because the every aspect that is involved in mixed martial arts became more technical. Striking is getting more technical now, as you can see. The footwork, the kicks, more strategic, but also more hesitant and more, more dry, I would say. Well, wrestling also, now we have the pure wrestlers. They can just go wrestling and rely on that. Also, I'm not talking about all the fights of Chimaev. He has some super cool knockouts, like he has some knockout performances, and he can do striking. His fight with Usman and Burns was, I think, very interesting because there was also specific resistance, but it was like an exchange. I'm just saying, with DDP, he played completely safe. He played completely safe, and because he can do it, there's no rules against that. But like, is that something that the fans want to watch? I'm just asking from that perspective. Like, to me, I actually was watching the fight quite intensively, but then I realized I was watching a wrestling match in that specific fight. Okay, I keep scrolling up. I'm from Georgia. Okay. Oh, hello from Kyrgyzstan. Well, Valentina Shevchenko is originally from Kyrgyzstan, right? She's from, Kyrgyzstan. Hey, welcome. Who do you think boxer, whose style will fit MMA the best, Duran or Hag? Who do you think whose boxing would style an MMA, Duran or Hagler? Oh, that's an interesting question. I would go for Hagler, I think. Yeah, I would go for Hagler. Like, Hagler also was known for like this, like hop ins, because in UFC you kind of see that kind of freestyle type of striking. Tom's father was so disappointed when he quit. You can go watch it. Like, everyone was disappointed. What's the point here? I'm talking about what actually happened. Was it actually right? What happened? Wasn't that gun supposed to be disqualified for it? So everyone maybe just stop doing this and just keep their hands a little bit more locked? I don't know. What is the correct way approaching a woman as a stranger for a date? Well, I'll tell you, one of my friends who is quite good. He's been approaching women. He's also, he's a good looking, like fit, strong. Like, those things always play to your advantage. Make sure that you're fit, you train, you have a good hairstyle, beard shape, or I don't know, like, you just look optimally good, objectively good. You talk well, you're calm. But the best advice he said, and he actually told me that too, he never approaches girls directly for like, oh, can I date you or something. He just starts friendly conversation. He keeps the distance. The gesticulation he's doing, it's actually quite friendly. And the girl is like, oh, okay. So she's like, oh, do you want it? He's like, well, actually, yeah, I like you. But you know what? Like, I think you seem like to be interesting. So, I mean, no pressure or something. So he would have like couple-minute conversation, and then he would ask, oh, can I just exchange contact? Not, can I ask you for a date? Not that. Can I just exchange your contact? So, we can maybe grab a coffee, like something like that. Not indicating on like a romantic date. And she would be like, she's already interested enough that, yeah, why not? Let's do it. So, you already have a contact. Don't go to women directly and tell, oh, you're so beautiful, I want to date, I want to have this and that. That does not work that way. Learn how to approach them, that you are interested, but not necessarily in dating or something. You're just like attempt and have that little small talk. Couple things, maybe like, well, not even compliment her, but like if there's something, let's say she has the Guns N' Roses t-shirt and she's like, oh, like I see the Guns N' Roses t-shirt, do you like Guns N' Roses? I'm actually a fan, I've been in this concert, like that kind of stuff. That also makes women to feel safe. Women don't like desperation. They don't like a desperate man coming, approaching them is like almost like showing that they're superstitious. They don't like it. We don't like it. But what we like is actually a person being confident enough that they don't kind of seem not really caring. Like if I say no, they're fine with it, kind of thing. But then you can see they drop the conversation towards they turn the conversation towards maybe finding one or two common interests just by scanning you or something, like, oh, let's say if you're in the gym and if you see them doing a specific type of training or having a specific type of physique, you can ask them, by the way, are you competing? Just by any chance, are you competing in like Miss Bikini or something like that? Because your physique looks quite cool. That kind of stuff. So I don't know if I made a good if I explained it well or not, but I hope you get the point. Okay, keep scrolling up. Can you tell something about Jon Jones? One of the best fighting IQs. More title defenses that Khabib had fights in the UFC. Again, well, having an issue with the 3 times, having an issue with the doping test, fighting dirty. Well, part of his high IQ is fighting dirty, not giving an ass about it. So that's bad boy energy. Like I think Jones was kind of like, there was something about him being like sociopath, bad boy guy. But at the same time, his later years, like being more like a cherry picking and avoiding Tom for a long time. And the reason why I say avoiding Tom is he was sitting on his belt. If he didn't avoid Tom, he would have to fight, or he would have to retire earlier. He would have to, you know what? I don't want to fight anymore. I'm retiring, so I'm vacating belt. That's been like, I don't know, a year at least for them to, for Tom trying to call it out, and like Jones would like completely disengage with that. So yeah, I think him, that was did he hurt his legacy or hurting his legacy unless they fight in the white card house after, if Tom wins against the gun. It's important because Tom also needs to prove now that eye poke was an unpleasant thing, but he's still dominant. If he wins against the gun on the rematch, well, then it's like more, okay, the Jones versus Aspinall still would be actual. If Jones takes that one, then we can forgive him for, some of the stuff and pretty much acknowledge him as the GOAT in his own right, But at the same time, there are a lot of ifs, and that's kind of my psychoanalysis of the Jones. Boxing and wrestling, which would be more effective or which would win? What do you mean, against one another? A wrestler is going to go for wrestling, and unfortunately if boxer doesn't know how to do takedown controls. So the problem is that in the street, though, most of the fights are for like bar fights, whatever, starts from the 1-2 combo. So everyone throws punches in the beginning. Usually you don't have people who just go directly for the throw. That happens sometimes, but mostly it's punching. So it depends what's your question. Wrestling against boxing in the just which style is better? Wrestling. Wrestling's just gonna put them on the ground, submit, keep them on the ground. If we talk about boxing rules, not just comparing two styles, but like the boxing rules, of course, boxer wins. Yeah, so it really depends. If you talk about, I don't know, if you have a child, where do you would them put first? I would say go wrestling first. Actually, go gymnastics first for a little bit, then move to wrestling, judo, grappling, BJJ for kids. It's also, they don't get hit in their heads, but they roll, they learn agility, they learn actual wrestling. And then striking, like boxing, kickboxing, general striking, maybe after they are 11, or maybe even later when they're like in the teenage years. So I try to respond to that question in many directions. Nobody was complained when Alex Perry was beating guys left and right. I don't hear people say change the rules. Yeah, because striking is way more entertaining than the grappling. I'm not saying in my opinion. I kind of enjoy both. I can watch BJJ. I can watch wrestling, grappling. To me, I don't really. It's not that much of the problem because I looked at it more as the mixed martial art perspective. But for fans, ask everyone which is more entertaining: a striking and knockouts and exchanging, like throwing punches, or wrestling, which is more entertaining. That's the point. I'm talking purely from the entertainment point of view. Which is more dominating? That was just question: boxing or wrestling, or like let's say striking or wrestling. Wrestlers gonna in the mixed martial arts, like a wrestling is more dominant. It's easier to take you. It takes this one get in. Hey, hi Leo, how are you?
Meeting a friend here.
Yeah, I'm live streaming. So.
No, I'm meeting a friend here.
Oh, cool,
Yeah,
cool. Yeah. Well, you're around now, so yeah, I'm gonna be here for a while too. So I'll try to say hi when I'm done. Okay, if you're here. But anyways, basically saying that wrestling is more dominant. Like in the striking, it's like you gotta keep throwing punches. You gotta keep sleeping. Doing all that kind of stuff. In wrestling, you go for one takedown. You do that successfully. You already end up in the situation you rather have a control time. So. Striking more entertaining. People want to see more of that. Wrestling more dominating. That's why wrestlers gonna most likely try to use more of the wrestling, but that makes fights objectively more boring. So that is kind of the dilemma I'm talking about. Yeah, basically Chris says like, yeah, less hugging on the ground. The chance rules and encourages more stand up, or at least the balance between. Like the somehow. But I'm not saying that's the easy thing to do. I'm not saying, just like limit with grappling wrestling. Well, in that case, then it would be like it would be unfair to the wrestling as a sport as well. Then you are like, okay, yeah, you try to really limit or even erase the one of the styles, one of the sports that is like basically a brick stone of the MMA generally. So maybe like I would say maybe breaking off fighters if there is not much activity. And when I say not much activity, not like just the small punches and like not non-significant strikes. If there is no attempt for going submission, that kind of stuff, or if it's after some time just not successful and the people on the ground defend them successfully, maybe more common break-offs. So the referee breaks them off, put them in the stance, they restart again. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud together with you guys.
Live?
Okay. Yeah, I'm live streaming. You want to say hi? Yeah, no problem. I have another mic too, so if you would want to engage with them. Okay. Okay. Islam Makhachev is a goat. Yeah, no, I definitely don't. I agree with that. Okay, guys, take care everyone who is watching and leaving now. Appreciate you being here. From a fan's perspective, they must tell their favorite MMA fighters to learn takedown defense. Well, the problem is when you have elite wrestling and someone who's doing that since they were kids, it's not that easy to learn it that way. And I'm not saying that we should limit wrestling again. And yes, I myself say that actually Alex Pereira did quite a good takedown defense. Even the first fight against Ankalaev, he defended all the, I think it was 7 attempts. He defended all the takedown defenses. Also, in a big, because he's also big for the weight class, so it was comfortable for him to do that as well. But that's the thing, he learned it, and due to his physicality and size and a little bit of training, sure. But I'm just saying generally, as much as it's completely okay, go for a takedown, do the movement. Is it okay to just hold your opponent and just keep them like, on the ground, and to consider that as be a win, like literally hagging match with no much activity? That's not okay either. It's basically holding your opponent down, and like that's it. It's like having that trap. So that is also not okay. And this is kind of the question: how do we prevent that? For kind of taking too much of the advantage of just fact that the wrestling control is different. Like wrestling control, if the wrestler gets you into control position, you don't escape from there. Even if you're a wrestler, it's hard to escape from there. So we're talking about mixed martial arts with people from different backgrounds. You do calisthenics, yes, a little bit. It's part of my training. Nobody wants to see full round of grappling. That's a fair point. I don't agree with you. It can also be like Sean Strickland or Floyd Mayweather and make it boring too. You just want to see action, be it a knockout or fast stop. Oh, that's a good point. And you feel free to disagree with me. The reason I was talking about the wrestling specifically, it's just I still majority of people, and I'm talking about myself. I'm kind of same with you. Rather it's knockout or submission and very intense grappling / wrestling. Sometimes it's gonna go one way more. Sometimes it's gonna go one way more. The other way more. Depends what type of fighters are matched up. And as long as you have submissions and knockouts, it's super entertaining. It is entertaining. If you still ask majority of people still prefer knockouts. I think you should even ask the AI or look at statistics. I think majority of people still gonna slightly lean towards knockouts. But I agree with the point that as long as it's entertaining, as long as it's like a really action towards trying really dominate, not just and try to find those timings, because I also enjoy exchanges. The reason why sometimes I don't have problem with decisions, because when I see an actual mixed martial art bout, I'm quite entertained, because I like seeing the technique, the exchanges, timing, the catching. But it also, when you see that you have an advantage over your opponent, let's say you're less tired, and you can actually go press more, in that case playing safe makes it more boring, right? So we're just talking, speculating about those things, nothing else. And feel free to disagree with me, especially as long as you have a point. I'm all for it. Okay, keep scrolling up. MMA doesn't know how to score things. They call mat returns takedowns. MMA judging is just very bad. Oh, you can say that. There are a lot of, a lot of stuff. First of all, there's rules, and you have takedown control. But again, if you have a wrestling control, you don't really need to have much of the energy expenditure there. You can just, and the person who tries to survive, they're they waste all the energy, and you get a takedown, the ground control. One thing is when you do ground control, one takedown, hold them, then again next round you do the same. It's a little bit different. When you have a takedown control, once you have both striking, you go there, you then come up, they do again. That's kind of another thing. It's another dynamic as well. So I don't disagree with that. The rules could change after 1 minute on the ground wrestling. The ref stands for them back up, they could be more interesting to watch. But also you don't want too much of it. That's still also another little detail. You don't want too much of it, or unnecessarily amount of frequency, because at some point there's going to be people okay, now we are just limiting wrestlers on purpose, right? So that's the point, so it's you cannot just break them off after maybe 1 minute is not maybe minute and a half. I don't know. I don't know. But like at least it has to be breaking off when there is just only control and not that much activity. I think activity has the definition of the activity on the ground has to be a little bit of enhanced, so called. You know what I mean?
This is the Diana.
Hi. Nice to see you too. Yeah. Yeah, I might say hi like after I finish live streaming. Yeah, so yeah. But yeah, anyway, Valentina is greatest. Well, I love Valentina. Though on that fight with Young Bailey, for example, she had everything. She could just go and finish her. At least she could try. She could go. You know, more pressuring, especially on the last round. But the thing is, she played safe, and that was like she did everything well. I always enjoy Valentina, doing her like timing, Superman punches, her kicks, her boom boom boom. Like once you get in a certain range, and like she farms you with 2-3 punches, her knees. Like when she gets on the ground, how she punches with your elbow. I don't mind that. But at some point, like when I was even commenting on that live stream, I was like, well, I would love Valentina to go a little bit because she can. There is nothing that stops. Like Bailey was at that point both psychologically and physically outperformed. So she could do that. But again, safe play, you know, just go. And that kills or cuts from the entertainment. That is my point here. It's scrolling up, guys. Appreciate you being here. Are you gonna fight? Yeah, I will. Boxing. Probably I'm gonna do my first fights in Southeast Asia. Specifically in Vietnam, there is not that much of the competition, but in Thailand, I have friends there, Georgian friends who. Actually, the guy I know there, he's a coach of his wife. And his wife being sparring partner for Valentina for this fight. So they are quite active now in the Thailand training, competing, preparing themselves as well. And yeah, he said that there is a boxing competition, and in the weight class that I want to be, which is I'm still seeing 51 or 48. I easily cutting down. I'm already 53, so like 50, 51 wouldn't be a problem even with just a calorie deficit, and then do maybe like a water cut and then regain that weight and fight in the 48. Because in that weight class, minimal weight, I would be comfortable height-wise too, and then maybe I could go back to a flyweight, boxing flyweight, and see how I'm there. But I want to start as low as I can. If you were the Disney princess, what would you be? I'll be honest, my favorite Disney princess is Mulan, and for a reason. I like that she's feminine. She wants the world to save her father. Like they're actually not a boss bitch bullshit, but actually a real female warrior path. Like, why would a woman want, to protect her family, her older father, fake that she's a girl, struggling, having a genuine physical struggle, that she had to overcompensate by learning the skill and be a little bit maybe tactically smarter, approach certain things, not with a brute force that she didn't have, but with the with a little bit of intelligence. And then so I love Mulan. I definitely do. And her falling in love and having a relationship in the thing too also. So I love Mulan. Definitely my favorite one. MMA is fun because it's real to a degree, changing rules, it's fabricating, it's to your liking, making it fake or rigged like boxing. Well, but that's the thing, MMA is getting to the point that it is evolving into a sport, and sport has rules. And okay, rather we just keep it like the way it is, and just everyone does what they do, and it's in the entertainment level is going. We can agree on one thing. Before there wasn't that problem, despite wrestlers, sambo, striking, boxing, all being in the mix, BJJ, it wasn't that much of the problem. Fights were still entertaining, despite who and which background athletes were fighting. But now it's getting a little bit into a problem, and it's already like now it's getting to the point they're having signing the contract with signed contract with the Paramount, making more into the visible sport to the level that people know what is UFC or people know what is MMA, for example. Like, you know what is karate, even if you don't know anything about it, you know what is karate, you know what is boxing, you know what is wrestling, judo. No matter who you are, right? This is how those sports, how big they are. So if MMA is on that path, there needs to be rules for two reasons. Two reasons is actually make prevent athletes from unnecessary damage and have like be a little bit sporty, you know, certain rules that make it a little bit safer for them. Hydration tests, you know, for example, like certain things. But the other reason is also to keep it entertaining. Specifically rules that makes it more entertaining. And as long as both gonna have to adapt to those rules, right? With as long as it's like gonna be mutual, that's gonna trigger both the generally fighters to become as well-rounded as possible, because wrestlers not going to be able to rely only on wrestling heavily anymore, meaning that okay, they're going to focus more on striking. Learning striking is not as hard as wrestling. Striking is Ilya Topuria learned striking way later, and you see what, like, as long as you do it smart, striking is easier, and they're gonna trigger the wave of the fighters that are already good at both, and that automatically gonna create a better not just one-sided or heavily lean fighters who are like focusing on one sport, specifically wrestling in this case, because the wrestling grappling is most dominating. It is dominating. It is dominating a striker. The strikers, any type of strikers, if they don't have a takedown defense, if they don't have a wrestling themselves. So if the rules are matching the expectation of the viewers, and puts it in a situation that, okay, now athletes have to train heavily on all the aspects, we're going to get the new generation of the more well-rounded fighters. And I think that's going to be good, because that's going to trigger. And then you can have the rules like before. It actually was interesting. There were different rules like unlimited time. Like if you take Gracie's and then you take like a Hoist Gracie, against Kazushi Sakuraba, it was like a limited time, and it was completely different setting, right? So playing with the different improvised rules could be also cool, but like general rules, I think it has to be towards making it more entertaining. Not just like by taking, oh, okay, now wrestlers can't use wrestling enough. Well, but that's the thing, we don't want neither wrestling, striking. No, striking. I think striking goes the way. If the fight goes purely in striking, people don't complain. Why? Because striking is generally more entertaining for even just an amateur casual viewer. So, but with the wrestling, you don't eliminate it. You have the time. That is like, if there's not certain activity, the referee is going to break you off and you will have to go for another takedown. But the point is, it's just going to be automatically, the more you break off, the more at least some sparring exchanges. And I think as I said, I'm going to repeat myself one more time, the focus towards developing both, having grappling, but also developing high-level striking is going to be the circumstances going to create that need. Okay, I'm scrolling up. Let's see what people say, if they agree or disagree. We're based in the Trang, Vietnam. That's true. But it's devastated GDM. He could not show himself, but Islam just held him down. All fights boring and little cheating. Okay, well, just in Islam's defense, if we compare Khamzat Chimaev versus DDP, Dricus Duplessis, and if we compare Islam versus GDM, it's actually a bit unfair to talk about Islam actually did a good as the boxer, as a striker. I can tell you, he did good countering, he did very good jabbing, leg kicks. He had those moments. He wasn't just going directly for the ground and do it like Khamzat did against DDP. That one was like, you can say that was a clear example of that. Okay, we need to start breaking off those like hugging matches a little bit more. So both fighters start relying not only on grappling, on striking, or like, you know, they have to develop both. They have to do and perform both during the fight. In Islam's case, the only difference, Islam just could stand a little bit longer in the stance, but the point is GDM did not outperform him. GDM was not good in the stance comparing to Islam. Islam was way better. He was outstriking him. So in this case, it's a little bit unfair to say that Islam was like just hugging and cheating. Not really. If the only thing maybe would be like fans would like to maybe a little bit less grappling, especially in the later rounds, because in the beginning Islam actually was more into like first 2 rounds it was more striking actually. But you got my point, right? I love striking arts more than grappling. I will move to MMA after fighting Muay Thai and kickboxing. That's super, and wish you the best of luck here. These wrestlers are dug their whole careers and always called boring, like it's like it's their fault, but all they're trying to do is accomplish the dreams as the goals. And I'm not saying it's their fault. I'm not saying it's like it's just now we have a time of that every aspect of the MMA becoming more pronounced, boxing becoming more accurate, wrestling you see like the wrestling performances, like the movements is way more like dominating and stuff. The fights are not just going like a brawling. It's not anymore like a time of Don Fryn and the Takayama fight, for example. It's just like super entertaining, but it's like you can't afford that because you know you have someone who's as calculated, as technical as you are, right? But because of that technicalities now, fighters gonna heavily rely on something they're the best at. The problem is when you're a striker with the wrestling background, that's why I like Ilya. He could just go also for wrestling, but I think he was smart enough. He knew that he would be way more entertaining if he learned boxing at high level and adapted to MMA. And that's what he and his team did. And I think that is a smart approach. But then you have the people, other like the Dagestani elite wrestlers with the wrestling backgrounds who want to achieve their goals and dreams, and obviously they're going to heavily push on the certain on the wrestling and grappling. But that's why I'm saying it's UFC's responsibility to find a way, maybe to change the definition of activity on the ground, because activity is considered just to do this. That's activity, but that's not really an activity. If as a wrestler in the wrestling route, you're not really going for submission, or after a few attempts it doesn't work, and it just goes like they're just stunning. I think they need to break it off, right? Back to the to the striking. Then you can go another takedown if you want to, but it still changes the dynamics. And in that case, what would happen, it's not going to limit Dagestani or the Caucasian wrestlers or any wrestlers. It's actually going to force them to get better, because they will say, okay, I go for the takedown, but they're going to break me up after like there is no activity anymore. It's not going to just be like, oh, I can just sit and do the hugging match in control time like technically Chimaev did against DDP. That means they're going to be, okay, now we're going to start focusing more on striking too. Now we're going to be strikers as well. So that dynamic is going to create a better generation of fighters, more well-rounded. That is, there are more of the mixed martial artists, not just the wrestling, not just this. And obviously, the strikers have to learn wrestling because you still gonna have someone who is with a wrestling background, and they still put you on the ground. They try to submit you. That all, of course, you get the points for that. But I think breaking off, just hugging time when once it becomes just a hugging and the pure like a top control, you gotta break it off. The referees have to start breaking it off. That's my point, and I think those are a matter of details, but it's important to talk about those things for the sports to evolve. Okay, hi everyone. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, MMA is not wrestling. They can stay in wrestling, not come to MMA. And Bor, as I always believe, MMA would be able, its refs stand to up after 1 minute on the ground. Well, that's the thing. MMA is also heavily related with the brand, with your presence. Well, the more entertaining you are, the more money you're gonna make. The more people gonna want to watch you. So it's not only about, oh, let me just use my wrestling to get there. So that's what I'm saying. It's UFC's responsibility. They need to go through. Maybe they already do that, but they need to start going through with that a little bit, breaking it off more often. So that circumstance starts motivating everyone to focus both on the grappling and the striking. Yes, UFC is organization. MMA is technically a sport, but and we have different organizations. They're like the rules vary and stuff like that. But at the same time, yeah, that's what I'm talking. Now UFC getting to the level, it's like having a Paramount contract. It's going to be way bigger visibility for like more and more people going to start turning into that sport. So it's going to start through the UFC. MMA might become like a, when you say MMA, people know what it is, or at least if they say UFC, everyone knows. Because I still mention UFC sometimes. It's like, oh, do you know what it's like UFC, MMA? They're like, not really. If you ask them, do you know boxing? Of course, everyone knows what is boxing, or wrestling, or judo. So yeah, it is still on the way of establishing itself as the big worldwide sport. He who have the wrestling control, he who have the wrestling controls the game. Well, that's why I'm saying, thanks God we have fighters like Ilya, who is a wrestler, who is he has a black belt in BJJ. He can wrestle, but he built his game, his brand around his knockout power, and he's very smart. Best boxing so far in the UFC, like very accurate. As a boxer, I can tell you, he goes in the stomach. He doesn't do anything too much, but whatever aspects are very useful from boxing in the MMA, he does it. Is that entertaining? Yes, it is. That's the thing, That's why I'm saying UFC needs to be more like, needs to find that little like how to manipulate it a little bit better. I'm repeating myself many times, but. The best wrestling fight would be Islam versus Khamzat. If that fight happens, it will be crazy. Well, that's interesting because if you have high-level wrestling, it's a higher chance that there is always a movement, even if it just happens on the ground. But it also might trigger one or another get more into sense, because what if Islam has Khamzat is bigger and has like a knockout power. Islam has a very good distance control, and like one or another might decide, oh, let me get, and that's Khamzat Burns, Khamzat Usman was a good example of it. Those fights were relatively more entertaining. Why? Because there was a strong resistance on the ground, and there was no point to, because if you have strong resistance on the ground, you get tired yourself too. And there's kind of, sometimes not a point. Sometimes you actually prefer to keep it in the stance, striking, because here you actually can pace it up a little bit and recover. There is also interesting thing though, but we need a setting, we need the fights, certain rules that referees, maybe even unwritten rules, though, but referees have those like that freedom to do that. So it encourages more and more fighters focus both on striking and wrestling, and then it just by definition going to make it more entertaining. Yeah, I appreciated you being here, guys. And some people like hugging, wrestling. Some people. I'm not calling names to anyone. I'm just saying, for the general audience, how it will be better, especially now. UFC getting on the higher visibility point with the Paramount contract, you know, that like more and more people are going to look at it. Do you want them to see super entertaining, like a mixed martial art fights, like literally, or they want to see the hugging matches or something? Like, that's, if we want to, if UFC wants the sport become, get more casual fans, let's go that way. Not only the ones who appreciate the martial art and the sport and, you know, can watch it both stands and ground, and we're not complaining that much. If UFC wants to cover more of the casual fan base, they need to make it more, they need to make a setting that it's more entertaining. Okay, I'll keep scrolling up, guys, appreciate you. Hello from Switzerland, hi. Adesanya could have been first to try champ, amazing kickboxer and could counter grapplers. He was ahead of his time. Oh yeah, absolutely. But also don't forget about the rivalry, legendary rivalry Adesanya versus Pereira, and yeah, he could, but you know, it's another thing going at the right time, but not too early. I think, for example, Khabib is a good example of retiring too early, respecting his reasons. I know that it's related to his father's passing and his mother, you know, just wanting him to retire. But I'm just saying that it's a good example of someone who we would want to see more of and could prove more. And then we have Adesanya, who went on the downfall, and he's trying to recover. He was saying that he would come back in 2026 to 27, but we shall see. From the other hand, well, my boy Pereira, one of my favorite old-timers, I loved his comeback, and he's super powerful, and I wish he had the better, like more wrestling-focused training too. But at the same time, he pretty much, like, again, he dominated Ankalaev at this point, and only his aura just carries so much. So I'm not saying that everyone has to be this and that, but even for the fighters' sake, with this upcoming new standard, with upcoming like new levels, it just for them it's better to be generally well-rounded, have strong grappling, wrestling, and BJJ, but also don't compromise on their striking either. And it's easier to learn good striking, not just throwing punches. It's actually easier to learn to commit maybe a year to a proper and your striking, your boxing, the way how you throw punches is going to become so much better. So I wish to see more of the Dagestani fighters. Islam, that's why I like Islam. Islam is one of those who actually does a good striking, but I would want to see him pushing on the striking even more heavily at times. Elite boxing is over. Plenty of 40, 50-year-olds out there who want to beat him up in the pure boxing match. Everyone boxing looks good against someone who cannot box. Boxing in the MMA setting. It's not the boxing against Canelo or Alvarez. And as much as it might happen because it's still in boxing, they're bigger money. Ilya, I can't, like when people ask me, oh, can Ilya stand against Canelo? If he doesn't commit at least a year of the proper boxing preparation, which ideally he would do. He would, if he's smart, he's smart enough, he would do that. With his current footwork and the way how he stands, that's not how, wouldn't work in boxing. In boxing, it's different. But the point is how brilliantly they took the aspects of the clean boxing and put it just enough in MMA to be able to do that. Like if you say that he doesn't do the boxing, I don't know if you're a boxer or not, but if you're a boxer, you're gonna acknowledge that Ilya's boxer is the cleanest representation of boxing maybe out of like all time. I actually remember there might be others too, but I remember Bigfoot Silva was actually quite a good boxer. Like he had the boxer background, and well, as much as his record is not perfect, but his boxing was slick. Against Emelianenko when he won, his boxing was slick. But like right now, currently, if we're talking about current times, Ilya's boxing is one of the cleanest boxing, just enough for MMA kind of thing. You know what I mean? So I hope now you get what I was saying, and saying that it's overrated in MMA setting. I think it's not true. Chris says, my husband said, GOAT is not just who wins, but also who entertains fighter and who has cool personality, who is a good champion, people champion. There's so many aspects for being the greatest of all time. I want to see Shavkat versus Islam. Absolutely. Would love to see too.
They're running for like 30 hours of testing. Training, how to speak this and that for 30 hours.
LOL, Diana, it's good to have a laugh sometimes, that's okay. Like, so I know I can rant sometimes, I can repeat myself sometimes, but there are also new people coming and watching. But yeah, sometimes my husband calls me a special needs or autistic at times for a reason. Okay.
They also have a ChatGPT here.
Chris says, donate, sub, and share, please. We are close to 10K subs, 9,866 so far. Okay, yeah, well, I mean, please help us to grow it till 10,000. What's your record as a fighter, madam? I did amateur boxing, and at that point, Georgia was like part of the federation, was part of the IBA. I have like 5 fights, official ones, 3 wins, 2 losses, and then apart from the opening tournament, and then when I did like the training camp and stuff, there's some things happened. Then it was like a priority thing, but also within the federation, and I retired, so I quit. But then for years I kept training, and then at some point I went more heavily technique. Obviously watching the sports on and off, like I did some stuff like with my life, like I was learning English, I was doing arts, I was like doing some military type of training, I was like in different communities. Just during 4 years I did sparring partnering things for others as well, some of those periods. And then now this year I decided with growing my channel, I was like, people asking me fighting, why wouldn't I? So I decided to why not? Why wouldn't I to try to open a pro record and do it in my own pace and share that on my live stream? So yeah, I don't have a pro record yet, but looking forward to start doing that. Right now I'm in the preparational period. I'm not from Israel, I'm from Georgia, the country. Rio de Janeiro, hi. I swear you are 100% of the clone of Meryl in the Metal Gear Solid. Yeah, I don't know what's that. I think there is eras where the styles reign supreme. Also, fighters will take the easiest path to victory. G. Hamzat versus DDP and versus Ankalaev one. Islam versus GDM. Yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying. I don't blame fighters necessarily because it's not directly their responsibility. It's good for them to think that way. That, as I said, like Ilya thinking, and like other more entertaining fighters, like Morales is thinking, for example. He's focusing on striking, even though he has the wrestling background. So it's they just know it's more entertaining. It's more like it's easier to build a brand and persona around it. But it's not the responsibility of the fighters. I mean, as long as they don't break rules, they're good. But that's what I'm saying. Then UFC has to be smarter about it. They need to find a way how they create the setting where it just forces everyone to become more well-rounded, both grappling and striking, like elite level. And that just by definition going to make it more entertaining. That's all I'm saying.
Only like 12 today. So it's got 10% in Tesla, like 180.
Appreciate you. Thanks for coming.
And the market other things are switching. 85
Married to Meryl, my life is not too bad. Yeah, that's my husband saying. Yes, boxing IQ is phenomenal. No, it's great, and you also gotta. It's not just taking boxing and doing boxing IQ. It's taking boxing, breaking it down, what's gonna work for him specifically with his parameters and height and reach in the MMA. Polish it, train it perfectly, and execute it. Like this is like a. It's not only IQ doesn't only start on the octagon. It starts outside of it. It's the preparation, with the people you surround yourself, with your team, everything. So it's quite an interesting thing to follow other fighters on those journeys and see who is more observant, who is more attentive, who is like his IQ is generally more. Because your IQ also gets higher with the right experience. You get better at learning things. IQ is basically the ability to learn things. It's not how smart you are, it's how fast you can or how efficiently you can learn things. Well, the more you practice that, the better you become at it.
So he's got crazy shit going on. And Rob also told me that he also planned on flying car.
No, Ilya wouldn't get mauled by Canelo in the boxing match. Doesn't matter how much long he trains. Impossible to catch up to someone like Canelo. I agree. I was maybe ranting about that he would prepare and like I need to see his footwork. I'm just saying objectively because I never seen Ilya's boxing footwork. Why? Because he's doing UFC and he's fighting in MMA. But you're right. You're completely right. With the boxer at Canelo's level, that he has been in the game for such a long time, and for Ilya coming there and get there, I'm not saying he's gonna be complete, but you're gonna see the difference in levels. The reason why you're gonna see the difference in level just because there is a pure boxing and there is Ilya who would try to kind of catch up with his footwork, with his positioning, like in boxing, like in MMA, you kind of stand like you have a center, like a center of mass differently. In the boxing, you would lean on your back leg, but you also modify. There's so many nuances to boxing apart from the footwork. So I agree with it. It would be, nearly impossible. But also approach-wise, I'm saying that if you would want to come up and fight with Canelo or any other boxer in a boxing match, I'm saying what would he need to do? He would need to go through pure boxing training, and it might take some time. It might take some, a year at least to recoup and stop doing anything else as well. Like the best thing would be to focus purely on that.
eBay, we got a bunch of money and that's how we bring it.
Lucky man, she's a keeper, great fighter and kind. Appreciate it. Thank you. I've been like at 2 hours and almost 40 minutes now. Howdy, Kyla. Howdy. How are you doing? And that's the thing, my phone is gonna die now, but 1 second, so I don't have to stop the live stream. I'm gonna just the wrong. Let me see if it even works. I think that's the wrong. To 1%, guys, and okay, guys, it's gonna turn off. My phone's gonna die, and unfortunately, I have a wrong wire. So, it might work, might not work. But yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you very much, and I see you in a later live stream when I'm gonna do training, okay? So yeah, thanks for being here, and I see you in the next live stream. Bye bye.